Hello, shalom, salom, and hola. Welcome to the Hot Jewish Podcast. I'm Michael, aka Hot Jewish Energy. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Hot Jewish Energy, at Hot Jewish Podcast, at Michael T. Valdes with an S at the end. Welcome to the episode. I haven't been filming for a few weeks. We're going to give like a real time update. I haven't been filming. I had to reschedule some episodes and it's just been so hectic. And this is I think it's going to be a really, really fun episode today. And wait, I didn't even get my Dear Diary entry. Dear Diary entry. Welcome to Dear Diary entry. LGBTQ plus rights. We're going to give a little bit of life update. You guys are probably watching this in season 2. I'm in the middle of filming all the episodes right now, so set list is going to come out soon, but this episode is definitely going to be in season 2. Hi, season 2. Welcome. I hope you love season 1, but Dear Diary entry today. Work was pretty exhausting. I was the only one there today. Some people had to call out. Totally understandable, but it was so crazy. And I'm here ready to divulge and film with our guest today, and I'm really, really excited. You guys might remember that I was telling you in the first episode of season 1 that I went out on a date with someone and it had gone well. Well, a month and a half into the whatever that thing was, guy ended up being a little bit cuckoo. So it's okay. I dodged a bullet, frankly, and I am very happy that I am okay. This guy is just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs bananas. So glad that's over. It's Pride Month now. It's June. You guys are probably seeing this in 2024, but it's 2023 right now. It's June, and I had such a big lead time for all these episodes, so all the information's still going to be relevant when you guys see it. You guys are, I don't know when you're going to see it in 2024, but I went to a Hebrew event 2 weeks ago. That was pretty fun. We're going to skip right ahead. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm already 4 minutes in, but we're just going to cut to the chase and get to our guest today. He is an icon. Maybe I started following him. I have no idea. Who cares even? He's a great account. His name is Sephardic Soul. Really, really great person. He gets into a lot of nitty gritty about history and antique and culture, which is really, really cool. And I rarely see that on my feed on Instagram, and I think he just brings so much representation that we need. I'm gonna say it out. I'm gonna say it frankly. I think that the Jewish space is very, very much Ashkenazi, and I don't feel that we're getting a lot of Sephardic representation. I don't feel like we're getting POC Jews of color. I don't think we're getting enough of that, and he is bringing it in. He is bringing that Sephardic hence soul to Instagram, which I really love. But we're just going to get right into it after this very, very short break. You are watching the Hot Jewish Podcast with special guest Sephardic Soul. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here with Sephardic Soul. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Uh, he looks very, very dapper today with those glasses and the shirt. What pattern is on the shirt?
Floral.
I love a good floral pattern, and he's got his Magen David, as always, so handsome. One thing that we have in common, we're both Northeast, which in the US, and we both had to experience the fumes that we've been having this week, which you told me that's why you're kind of putting on the shades today. Kind
Yes,
of, yeah.
my allergies are acting up, so
Oh my god. I was in the city on Wednesday and it was like apocalyptic. It was very, very weird.
oh, I saw it. It was
It
unique.
was bad. Oh, it was unique. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. But so Jersey, you've been there all your life. You grew up there. What was it like growing up in Jersey? What was your family like? Heritage, area that you were in?
So from my Jewish background, let's just start that I call myself Sephardic Soul. We all know what Sephardic means, Spain and Portugal, right? But now it includes so many different things. My background, let's just start with that. So my background is Polish Russian, also German, and then from that side, my German side, my mother's mother, my great grandmother, her family came from Spain.
Oh
So
wow.
that's where I get the little bit of Sephardic ancestry. I've never had anybody ever think I was German or really Russian or Polish. They always thought I was like Italian. This is a very Italian state. So I got a lot of that. And then like different things like, Iraq, Egypt, Turkish, even Indian, actually. Yes.
It-
Uh
That's so random, but okay.
yeah. But in terms of where I grew up around Teaneck, super Jewish.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, from there, I think the big thing for me, and I'll just bring this in with this question, is with my bar mitzvah. I grew up pretty, I'd say secular as a Jewish person. I think the big things with my family were like not having pork, milk and meat, things like that. There are certain things that you kept as a Jewish person, and restrictions that we kept, but not Haredi, not modern Orthodox, not anything like that. Just I'd say pretty secular, even with those things that we did, holidays. It wasn't, and then we went to like conservative synagogues. That's what they did,
mm,
my parents. But at the time of becoming bar mitzvah, they wanted to, well, conservative, I think they were having a tough time finding like the conservative, and they didn't want to do reform, and they saw Orthodox as the best option. So they found Chabad, and so my bar mitzvah was with Chabad, and I wasn't like the biggest fan, I'd say, to be honest, of that period, because we didn't grow up super like religious like that, so it was a bit of a culture shock.
mm,
And I'll never forget, um, at the Chabad, there was a woman who was speaking Spanish, and she might have been Israeli too. I don't know, but
mm.
she that like struck at me, and I asked like my mom, like, oh, that she's speaking Spanish, like, how can that be? Like that's not typical
Yeah, it wasn't
of what we
something that you
see.
were used to. Yeah.
Yeah, so she told me, oh, well, yes, there are some Jews who speak Spanish, they're Sephardic. My mother knew what that was. And it's funny because at the time, going through all this stuff, for some reason, my mother has had this book. We still have it. It's about Spinoza. It's written by Rebecca Goldstein, something she was reading to know more about Sephardic Judaism. So it's just kind of interesting. So at that time, that's how I found out a little bit of what Sephardic Judaism is. I was very young, so what I mean, young kids, like, what do they care about Judaism? I teach kids, and
Mm.
it doesn't matter as much when you're that age until you're older. But that was my first exposure to it when I told her, "Oh, really? That I'm Sephardic." So that's kind of how it started for me.
You mentioned that your family kind of immersed themselves more into the Lubavitch Chabad scene and started going. What then, since it was such a cultural shock for you, what then made you want to study at an Orthodox yeshiva in Israel? Because
Uh,
that's such a big move from being secular, maybe just doing major holidays and keeping those things that you said that you kept. What made you want to make that big life change?
when I was in high school, I had a lot of friends who were interested in like politics, and a lot of them wanted to become lawyers or study political science in college. So I was being exposed to what they were into, and then that just trickled down onto me. I started wanting to read the Western classics, I'd say it that way. And that, to explain that, it was, what were the ideas that were popular at the time or were being discussed. You had Nietzsche, Rousseau, Locke, you had Karl Marx. Not that I'd call myself a Marxist by any means, but for some reason, my dad had those books. He went to Columbia, so he, in this, way back in like the 60s. So I guess this was what he was studying, and then because he had those books, I had access to them.
Hmm.
So from that, I'm looking at Marx because he was popular, and I'm like, well, if I want to understand this book, like I probably have to know what influenced him. Mind you, I had no intentions of really going into learning about Judaism at the time. I was disinterested because I just didn't vibe much with Chabad, if that makes sense. And I don't know if I was giving too much of a shallow explanation, but I feel like amongst a Jewish audience, people would kind of get that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're, however, whatever experience you had, it's a valid experience. I mean, obviously, there's some people who have had, like, I mean, can go into my own Orthodox life and Julia Hart and how she's very much anti Muncie, very much like she does not like what happened when she was there. But yeah, you're entitled to your opinion and how you feel. It's your experience.
So from there, having the books, looking at basically the Penguin edition had a bibliography of what he was reading. So I figured, okay, well, let's do that. Let's see what he was reading, and I'll start from there. And that started all the way back from Plato because he was influenced by the
Mhm.
Republic. I just got a hold of the books. My parents bought me some. I used to do like little campaigns, like they would have political campaign. Being like 17, 18, it's like there weren't much. You had to kind of get what you could get. At that age, there weren't much options. So I did whatever I could do to get some money, and I'd use that money to buy some books. By 2013, I had accumulated quite a bit, and I was volunteering at a hospital at the time, and I met an Orthodox priest, Turkish, and it was interesting because he had cancer. He was going through a very difficult time, and I was just volunteering at the time to meet with seniors. But he was a pretty strong person. And I found out through talking with him that he was a Turkish Orthodox priest, and he was asking me if I believed in God, and I told him I was an atheist, but like I don't know, I don't really think much about this. But like personally at the time, I would tell you that I like Plato a lot, so I maybe a Platonist, like whatever Plato believed. But then he asked me, okay, well, what's the religion of your parents? And that's an old school kind of question. I don't think today people would think that way because we're very individualistic. But he's an older generation, so he was asking that. And I told him they were Jewish, and he said, "Good, stay Jewish." And then he gave me a blessing. And I felt kind of strange because I was buying like Western classic books. I wasn't too much interested in Judaism, like I told you. I only had four Jewish books. I had Josephus, Philo of Alexandria, the Tanakh, bilingual, and who was the other? Spinoza. The last book I purchased because I figured I had like a good set. The last one I was a new release of a bilingual Latin English of St. Thomas Aquinas. So it's kind of like in an awkward spot. It's like, well, I spent like a good amount of money on this great set, but I don't have a lot of Jewish books, and he's telling me to be Jewish. But I guess it's kind of like important. I swear to God, like the next day, 2 days later, my mom gave me a check because I got a refund from something. It's like $300, and that was enough to start buying some Jewish books. And then I can go into like my whole journey of buying Jewish books. I find it interesting, but I'm not going to talk about it because as you see, I'm going to a whole tangent about books because I love books, and my Instagram, all I'm doing is talking about books. But anyways, so I bought some Jewish books, and then that's kind of how that started with being able to collect books, Jewish books, and then reading them and learning them. Fast forward to 2017, I have a little bit of interest, or should I say more of an interest in Judaism, but not involved with much going on with like the Jewish world. And I was at a point where it's like, well, I'm getting older. I want to do birthright. I graduated college, so I did birthright. I didn't go on the trip with much expectations of enjoying myself to say. I knew I'd enjoy it, but I knew I wouldn't enjoy like the country because it was a guided tour. So I was appreciative of the fact that this would allow me to go to Israel for free and get the opportunity to do that. And then on that trip, I planned I'd be back somehow. I didn't know what exactly I would do, but I knew I'd be back and then just explore it the way I'd like to explore it. because of that, coming back from Birthright, I wanted to get more involved in Jewish things. I did Russian American Jewish Experience, awesome organization. From Jersey to Brooklyn, I think it took me maybe 3 hours. I would take public transit, but I do that. I'd read on the way there. I learned a lot from them, and I was going to do an internship in Israel too, and that was through Birthright. And between the two, I told one of the rabbis I was going to be in Israel for like 2 months on an internship. And he says, "Oh, great. Would you like to do some time in Yeshiva as well? Would you like to go there?" I said, "Sure, why not? I'm interested." And I knew I was going to be getting myself in a completely different culture than what I was in, but it's still Jewish. It's maybe different from my life at the time, but this is what Judaism is, and I want to learn more about it. And so I was very grateful for the opportunity to learn in yeshiva that this really nice rabbi, who I'm still in touch with him, offered. And I said, okay, after my 2 months in Tel Aviv, I'll go live in an ultra Orthodox community in Jerusalem and see what it is.
What was that experience like for you when you ended up going to Israel after Birthright finished, after you went into the yeshiva? You had mentioned, I remember reading in your bio that you got involved with the Haredi community even more, and that what was that experience like for you, kind of like from start to finish?
I think to start with, I'm trying to frame it a certain way because I talk to a lot of different types of people and a lot of folks, and for good reason. There's an enigma around the Haredi community, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like in the Jewish world, it's very divided. Very, and we see this with the political situation. And there's reasons why on both sides. So, it really comes to like, well, how do you go from one end and then join the other? And that's just basically what I was feeling. It's like I'm feeling like, well, what's gonna, like I remember when my time in Tel Aviv ended and it was time to move to Jerusalem. I'm like, wait a second, it's hitting me. I'm actually going to be living from free Tel Aviv, right, to Orthodox Jerusalem, like the Orthodox part, not like Jaffa Street, Ben Yehuda, the Shuk. This is, a couple blocks from Mea Shearim. When doing this, I just had like two things that I felt were on my side to assimilate to the culture and be comfortable, which was A, when I came to Israel to begin with, I didn't come in with like any type of political predisposition. I mean, I knew myself and I knew my views, but I'm not living in America anymore. I'm living in a different country with different cultures, different people, different ideas. And if I come in with my own predisposed views, disrespectful to Israel and the people living there, and I won't get to know who they are and find people to be friends with. And that's important. I think when living for a year in another country is respecting it and fitting in. So you don't fit in if you're pushing your beliefs on other people. So I was sort of somebody who came in to receive other people's ideas and learn. It was an educational period for me. The other thing too is
Mm-hmm.
I came into the country with a lot of books. Tel Aviv doesn't really matter so much knowing about Judaism or having books and things like that. That's not something that they really care about living there. It's a freer area and more metropolitan. But when you're going to Jerusalem, this is the people of the book. Muhammad says it, Jesus refers to it, and of course the Haredi are all about reading books. That's what they do. They don't even, they don't have time to go into the army. They got to read and learn new things. They got to find a new novelty in the Talmud, right? Obviously, that's just a short, brief thing. There's more to it, but you know what I'm trying to say. So when I came to Jerusalem, I had a lot of books with me, philosophical books, but also like Jewish books, the hardcore ones that they knew, like Yehuda Halevi, Ibn Pakuda. Maimonides was with me too. So I just felt like when I come to this community, if I'm focused on like common ground topic that these people appreciate and that I'm interested in, I'll be fine. So when I moved to living in the religious community and going to yeshiva, I was very much holding a book with me wherever I went, and the people there take note of that, and they really like that. And when you show like a respect for their culture, which wasn't hard for me because I found it interesting anyways, because I like these books, I was so happy living there. I was so surprised. I was so scared about moving in there because I'm not. I don't. I'm not Orthodox. I wasn't born into that fold. A lot of people in the Haredi community are born into it. People say, "Oh, I have 16 brothers who live in that town. Do you know any of them?" It's like, and then they have like more kids and stuff like that. So everybody kind of knows everybody, and they're all related. And then here I am coming in, and many other people were like me too, going into the yeshiva because there's a lot of people on the east moving in. So you learn these things, and you find the communities sometimes they can be a little tough, but they were very nice, and I really liked living there.
I'm glad that you were able to have that experience because a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't. And it can be a little bit tricky and they can kind of feel not as welcomed. But it's admirable that you found your way to weave around and make it work. And it wasn't you forcing yourself to do that. You actually enjoyed it. I don't think I would be able to do that. I went to yeshiva for like 8 or 9 years. I was in Orthodox yeshiva, part of it in Lubavitch Chabad, and then the other part in just straight Orthodox yeshiva. And I was a good student. I read the books. I did what I needed to do. I did my chumash. I did my navi. I did davening and everything, and whatever I needed to do. And my teachers loved me because I was a good student. But I just never found interest in it. Because it was just getting shoved
Yeah.
down my throat. Did you feel that since it wasn't getting shoved down your throat, you were able to allow yourself to absorb it for your own personal enjoyment?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think there's really a difference between, and I talk to people all the time. We're just talking for the first time, but if you got to know me more and we talk more about this is something that I love talking about, and so many Jewish people love talking about, which is like, Judaism, and then what appears to be the ultimate form of it, which is the Haredi community. I think there's this right now, things are changing because people are able to see more of different aspects of Judaism and the actual history and culture, and come to terms also with the fact that the Haredi Judaism, no disrespect, but the culture really stems from something that's like about 200 years old. It's really heavily
Yeah.
influenced by Hasidic culture, which had good intentions, but regarding like being forced, what's the term you use? Like you said again?
Having it like shoved down your throat.
I mean, that's a great point. I mean,
That's a little
no,
graphic,
no.
but
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's not graphic. I mean, a lot of people feel that way, and that's you know how it is. That's how
Yeah.
these people think in that community. I remember one of my friends there was telling me we went to the wall one time. I'll get graphic if you don't mind. So we went to the wall. We went to a part of the wall that was the, what do you call it, co-ed, men and women can go. This is in 2018. I was there. A rock fell from the wall. And he says, why a rock fell, right? I'm like, why did it fall? And he tells me because men and women shouldn't be together, right? And Hashem's upset. And
Ooh.
it's funny. I'll let you talk. I'll stop for a moment.
No,
So
continue.
I was around a lot. Again, I told you I was going into a completely different culture. I was living in Tel Aviv. I'm around like Tel Aviv's a gay community. Let's be real. It's a free, and I say this because contrasts.
Yeah.
We're in a
Do you identify? Are you a
am I
part of the
open with the community?
community?
A lot of people have asked me, and I think you know the answer. And anybody who looks at my page knows the answer. And the answer is yes.
I just want to make sure.
No,
I don't
no, it's
want to
totally fine.
assume
By the
because
way,
it's not
yeah.
like the
So
first. I had to do some digging. I was like, wait, and then I saw hashtags and I saw gay, and I was like, is he? Is he not? I don't know, but
we'll
we'll
find
find
out.
out. But okay,
Hi,
hi,
Pride Month
Pride Month,
indeed.
happy Pride Month. Uh,
No, that's fine.
continue.
So now, I mean, now like, I mean, to go into more depth of me living there as a gay guy, that would go. There's some good stories there, but for right now, Jerusalem, Haredi community controls most of it, and if you go to tours, they'll tell you, oh, this area used to be like this, but now it's becoming more and more and more Haredi, and so going, that then that's the mindset, and then here we are at the wall where you have a rock fell, which could have happened because things weren't taken care of and there was lack of maintenance, or it could be because Hashem is upset with co-ed, and I'm sitting there, and I'm often in these situations. And I said to, what did I say to the guy? I said to him, I think I said just that. I said, that could be the case, and you make a good point because of what we read. But we also read the fact that, in Jerusalem and Jews living in Israel, you have to earn your keep, and it could just be that, like I told you, no maintenance. That kind of conversation, that kind of thought was pretty common, as you know, and going into living in Jerusalem, I'm not here to for myself, I'm here as a visitor and here to learn. I'm not here to really
Mhm.
challenge the establishment, but they also, there's folks in the community who are doing that already in other ways, and I can go into stories there if you like.
I want to get more into you being a gay man in Jerusalem in an Orthodox yeshiva surrounded by Haredi Jews. Tell me about your experience.
I don't think I don't think in that world they know what queerness is. I don't think
Hmm.
it's something that they look for. You could wear, unless it's something that's the gay pride flag. That's a political symbol in a sense. It's a symbol that's easily recognized, so they would understand that. But if it's the besides that, I don't think they can recognize it. I don't think that's something that
Hmm.
they see. I think it's a split between with the Haredi. They don't think anybody's gay. They think it's a choice, which means you could live in the community as somebody who's gay, keep it private,
Yeah.
and do whatever, but they'll still think that you're gonna be married to a woman and have kids. That's what. But on the other end, if you're very westernized, come from Europe, South Africa, America, whatever, and you know what it is, and you come in with like those prejudices uh, against gays. They will look for little things. They will recognize things. If that makes
No,
sense. Does
that
that make sense, or
no, it
am
does
I
make
speaking too
sense.
vague?
It's interesting that they have. I mean, I'll definitely have to do my research on it later, but from what you're telling me, they don't believe that it's something that you can't change. Meanwhile, it's interesting with Chabad and Lubavitch, they recognize that queerness and gayness is something that's not of choice, which is, I was reading about this because there's always that argument of that, oh, does Judaism accept being gay, being queer, part of the community? And it's like it's like a yes and a no answer. It's like, yes, in a way it is acceptable because it's something that you can't control, but it's not acceptable because doing relations with man to man, woman to woman, whatever BS is an abomination. But then they talk about that, oh, but being having like a romantic, it's very complicated. And Melinda Strauss, she was explaining it a little bit. She did a post about it because Pride Month came in, and I'm sure she got so many questions of like, oh, what's your opinion on this, yada yada yada. And she finally was like,
Hmm.
she said, I personally support it, but there are Jews that don't. But there's also debate on interpretation of the Torah and all the scriptures and everything. And I don't know. I just find it very, very fascinating. And one thing that the Lubavitch they said was that, oh, this is God's test, but we're not going to judge you. You shouldn't be judgmental of people who are, that's who they are, but that you should focus on the things that they can change, the things that they can control, which is
Hmm.
doing mitzvot, davening, keeping kosher, keeping the holidays, keeping Shabbat. Like those are things that you can control. You can't control if you're gay or not, or if you're transgender or non-binary or lesbian or bi or whatever else in the community. But that's the one thing that I really liked, and it's interesting that the Haredi, they're a little bit more on the line of that it's a choice, especially when the Lubavitch, they're very very observant and they're willing to see light in it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Well, Chabad does outreach. They'll reach
Anyone,
out to
yeah.
Jewish people all the times. Haredi, when you have groups, Satmar, who cook very well. I've been to the houses. The food was delicious. I had to be careful. I didn't want to offend anybody because I want to come back to their houses to eat. Actually, it's funny. I have a story where I was at their house, but I'll save that. But anyways, they're not interested so much with outreach. They're not interested in like really knowing anything outside of
Yeah.
what they do. Maybe business, but if they're business people. But the community really valued the book. I mean, it valued living a lifestyle of tradition, how their
Mhm.
families have done it. I'm thinking 200 years. I'm thinking the more modern Hasidic. When I say modern, 200 years ago, how modern is that? I mean, the Alter Rebbe, and they're Hasidic. The Alter Rebbe of Chabad, he, when Napoleon was coming, and there's a choice to support him or stay with the Tsar. He said, "Stay with the Tsar, because we'll be in our own community. We won't assimilate." And that's just a general Haredi viewpoint. It's like, let's
Mhm.
not assimilate. Now it's changing because Chabad, it's thriving because they
And they're
reach out to
assimilating
people.
in a way.
And, in a way, and it's a reaction to the Holocaust. I mean, you have two reactions. You have a reaction of you lose 6 million people, and then you lose more because they just decide to drop the whole thing together. I mean, who can blame them? Something like that happens. Who wants to continue believing in certain things and keeping a tradition, right? And so the choice is you either outreach, like Chabad did, like the Rebbe did, or you just focus on your family,
Yeah.
and your family grows into community, and your community grows into a society, and that's the other way of
Yeah.
handling things.
Yeah. I go to Lubavitch Chabad for shul, and my rabbi, I have to say, Rabbi, oh, he's the best. He's he's just it's that ideal of assimilating and becoming with the times, because when people think of Orthodox, they think of Lubavitch, they think of like, oh, you're set in you're like 50, 100 years back. But at least for him, he was able to make it appeal to younger people, because it's really tough having all of these Jewish customs and laws and everything appeal to the modern times, appeal to modern people, young people like us. And yeah, I definitely see that with Chabad. They're doing a pretty good job. So you stayed in Israel for how long were you there in total?
I say a year, but the months are January
Okay.
2018 to mid-November, or no, late November.
So did you ever have an urge to make Aliyah, or you were kind of just homesick and you wanted to go back home?
No, I did. I was going to make Aliyah. I got all my paperwork together, paid the dues. That's when I came back. Living there, I met a lot of people, made a lot of great connections. I was going to go to school at Technion, but COVID changed that. So
Oh.
yeah,
Mm.
and then personal things. My mother got cancer,
Oh.
and this is during COVID, so she got that. I mean, circumstances. I'm just gonna stay with my mother, take care of her. When with COVID, she actually ended up in the hospital, and she had low oxygen.
Mm.
I thought she was gonna die. So I only had two friends to call. I don't know how this is gonna sound, but it was basically like if she passed at the time, which I thought she was going to pass, it was like, well, that was not gonna be emotionally good for me, but I was gonna move to Israel after that, just do what
Yeah.
I had to do with my mother, and then leave. But thank God she didn't pass, and I stayed with her throughout her recovery, and it took about a year, but she's doing very good.
She's in remission.
From the tests that have come back, yes,
That's good.
yeah.
Okay.
So she's fine now, but
They caught it early.
I didn't quite know the stages,
Hmm.
but it sounds like yeah, they caught it just in time to get rid of it, and then
Yeah.
it was breast cancer. So
My mom's a breast cancer surgeon. I was gonna ask. She operates out in the Hamptons over here, and yeah, I always ask when someone has a family member with cancer, because my mom deals with it all the time. I mean, unfortunately, she's had some people that just sometimes it's too late. But then most of the time, thankfully, because now technology and medicine is like phenomenal, they're able to catch it so early that you're able to just live a normal life. But that's good that they were able to nip it in the bud very quickly. That because breast cancer, especially for older women, it sucks. It's really
Yeah.
really bad.
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to get into the details, but yes, it was.
It's very.
It's different when you hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people talk about it a lot, and we hear so many things nowadays. So it's like, no, you know, you don't. What are you to think? But when you're going through it, and when you see it, and when you meet other people who have been through it too and know about it, it's a different conversation. It's then the conversation gets much deeper, and there's a lot more empathy and sympathy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've seen it. I've gone on. She does nonprofit work in the Dominican, and
Oh wow.
yeah, she. When I go with her and I see all of these women who just they've been neglected medically, it's so sad. And then some of them, it's just the cancer is so advanced. It's like past stage 4, like it's to a point where you're just like, how many months do I have to live now? And it's just really,
Yeah.
it's really tough. But yeah, well, now you have another person that you can talk about it with. I get it. I mean, thank God, I knock on wood, my wood floor. I
Yeah.
thankfully don't have anything now in my family, but I get it on another level. I get it.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something,
Mm-hmm.
just one more thing
Yeah.
about that. Like, you know, I publish a lot of stuff online, right? Like, never published or talked about this publicly.
Oh
I'm
wow.
telling you for the first time because it's a while later and I feel more comfortable because
Mm-hmm.
my mom is fortunately in a good position. But I know some folks
Yeah,
still talk about
they
it.
keep it private. Some people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a tough thing.
This
It's a very private thing.
and you don't want to like something good happens, right? She lived. She's doing a lot better. I'm grateful. You
Mm.
know, a lot of my pictures are put to Philin on. You know, I was putting on to Philin quite a bit when that was going on.
So
But
this
that's
actually
personal.
this actually gets into, so now that you didn't make Aliyah, COVID happened, you had that hard time with your mom. What brought you to creating Sephardic Soul, having this whole online space where you're able to proudly show the books that you're reading, the antique that you're collecting, the frankly a lot of the culture that we don't really see in the Jewish online world? How did that start for you bringing that online?
In 2017, after my birthright trip, I was hanging out with, you know, the folks I was with. This girl, pretty girl, smart girl, right? She says she's, you know, she's on Tinder. I wasn't an online person, right? I had a Facebook, never really used it, posted once in a blue moon. Didn't have Instagram, just didn't see the point. But going on a trip like that, being in a situation where this girl's saying, I'm looking for, you know, a relationship online, right? And saying, you know, you got to be online. You just don't meet people in real life anymore. Just hit me, because it's true. A lot of things are online. A lot of people learn about like meetups online. They meet people online. And you know, think about it, LinkedIn. You know, you use LinkedIn so that way you can get a job, right? You use it to show what you do. It's the same thing I think with a lot of these apps. It's all about meeting people, showing who you are, networking, making friends, all that sort of keeping in touch with friends. Nobody's writing letters anymore. Back in the day, you know, people wrote letters
Mm,
and then they Christmas cards or whatever. Now it's post on Facebook, right?
yeah.
Tag your friends. With that, my friends from Birthright also like, you know, were on Instagram and then they wanted me to get one. I said, okay, fine. So that's kind of how it started of me using the app. And so like a couple years later, 2019, 2020, you know, you know, back in the States from my time in Israel, I had a bunch of pictures of myself wearing tefillin and just like my travels, I never posted.
Mm.
And I was just getting nostalgic, and I just also saw, like you're saying, like there's just wasn't a lot of Jewish content online. It was just hard to see, hard to find, especially at that time. Now it's, thank God, it's more, but at the time, it wasn't super prevalent. The most you'd really see, I think, I could be wrong, but the most that I saw was a lot of just Israel. They
Yeah.
put a lot out for tourism, Tel Aviv, things like that. So they were doing a lot of things with that, but you didn't really see anything putting on to fill in, showing yourself a little bit more religiously. And I think I'm making it clear I'm not like the most religious person in the world. I'm not the most religious Jew, but I like certain things, and I like Judaism, and have Jewish values, and I'm wearing tefillin, and I liked my pictures. I didn't publish them, and I was concerned, like, what would, even just like talking to people in passing who were just like regular Jewish folks, secular, not super into Judaism. It's like tefillin was just such a foreign, strange, weird thing. I just decided to publish it anyways because I liked it. It made me feel good. I liked, my time in Jerusalem. I liked, my fellow yeshiva mates. They put together me being able to get that precious pair to fill in. I have a very good pair to fill in that they got for it's me. It's not what I'm saying, it's not my own. I didn't buy it. I was actually gifted it. I got it, interesting enough, from Rabbi Mizrahi. Maybe you've heard of him. No,
No.
Rabbi Mizrahi. Yeah, he came to my yeshiva. He gave it to me. He's not the most gay friendly rabbi.
Uh,
Anyways, that's another story. But anyways, but he gave it to me, and my friend says, if I'm getting you this Cephalon, which is Kabbalah level, it's black on black, you better, you got to wear this every day, because we're doing this for you. So I said yes. So the pictures that I had before sewing him, that I was actually putting Cephalon on. So with all
mm.
these pictures and some time later and some thoughts, that I'm sharing with you, and I don't know how clear they are. I didn't. I'm trying to present this as clear as I can and make it
Mm.
interesting, relatable. But anyway, so yeah, so I started publishing them, and yeah, so I got a little bit of a kickback from it, in some sense, when I first started doing it, because it just wasn't there. Nobody knew what it was. It just wasn't something you really did. But I wanted to publish things that were just more something that things that I liked, publish things that were just more Jewish, because it just wasn't really there that I was seeing, and also like, to build up like an online identity for myself of my own values, so people could also see that too. So it's a bit of a mix of reasons why I did it. I changed my name to Sephardic Soul, because it's always, with what I was saying to you earlier with the books. What books was I getting to learn about Judaism? What books are the most, like, I guess, open-minded and inclusive of Jewish identity? I wasn't getting, rabbis who were writing in the 1800s, right? I was getting rabbis who were writing in the 800s, 900s, 1000s. They were living in metropolitan societies. A lot of these rabbis living in Spain, Portugal, or Iraq were living amongst other cultures. They had a perspective where they were
Mm.
exposed to different things. They weren't opposed to it, right? If I'm being clear.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I just resonated with that. So I changed my name to Sephardic Soul because of those rabbis. I felt their views on Judaism I liked, and were easily approachable and relatable, and started posting just my own Jewish content. But I was also copying what Israel was doing, like with like the happiness and the Israeli style. I was kind of mimicking while doing it. So I was just putting that all together, and that's pretty much how it started. And then with a little bit of kickback, it started growing. People liked it, and I looked for other stuff that was similar to mine. At the time, I didn't see, there were a couple accounts, but it wasn't so much. Now it's a lot more. Now it's so different.
Well, it's, I think a lot of people chimed in or jumped in May 2021. I think that's a story that a lot of different Jewish content creators and influencers have, that things really shifted at that time, especially for me. That's when I started posting. That's when I started being more vocal about our experiences and what's going on, and kind of shedding light on all the annoying stuff that people were posting and all the misinformation. And I love that you're able to bring a more lighthearted side to Jewish Instagram, if we're going to call it that. I think, yeah, Jewish Instagram. Because it's just a lot of the time it's kind of dark. A lot of the time it's kind of
Yeah.
sad, angry.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know exactly
And
what you're saying. On many
especially
levels.
on my end, because I'm more in Jewish news, humor,
Yeah.
culture. Like I'm in more of like this talking about what's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to escape that, but your page is a place that I go to where I get to escape a little bit and get to see something a little bit different from what I'm normally seeing on my feed or that I'm normally talking about, because it gets kind of anxiety ridden
Yeah.
sometimes. I talk about it all the time that I at least try giving it a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightness, but it's still dark stuff. But I love that you're that corner that just, you don't really have to, you can just kind of check everything at the door and come and enjoy something that's not so present in what's happening now. It's kind of like taking it back a little bit, maybe going back in time a little bit, a little bit of nostalgia,
Yeah.
which I'm sure a lot of people that are watching or listening love too.
Well, I think I really appreciate that a lot. I think the key word for myself and what I do in my personal life, like I do a lot in my personal life and then I post some of it, is the key word is anti-Semitism. And I think that a lot of people identify their Judaism with that. You know, I'm well aware, we're all well aware of what that is, but I think Jewish identity shouldn't be defined by that. I think it should be
It's more than
defined,
that.
yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that like in like with what you're saying, and me just want to be real here and like state my point of view is that I think there's just too much of Judaism in the sense of anti-Semitism, and
Yeah.
it's
It's a
not
fair point. I mean, it's important, but I mean, I have that ideal too of that we just kind of need to laugh a little bit. I mean, some of the stuff that's happening is ridiculous. I mean, it's sad, but it's some of it's just like batshit crazy, like all the shit that people are saying, and I just laugh because what am I gonna do? Cry? I
yeah
mean, I've cried enough in my life so far. I'm probably gonna cry even more. Why am I gonna cry about something that's so stupid
yeah
that I can just laugh about it, make great content, get views,
yeah
get people
yeah
to join in on the fun too,
yeah
and yeah, and I love that you're able to do that way more than I am. I'm just trying to find my footing recently. It's been kind of tough. I'm trying to make it a lot more lighthearted because it's kind of been really dark recently, and I'm really trying to veer away from that because it's just getting too much
yeah.
for my own mental sake. Yeah.
I gotta tell
Um
you, I gotta interrupt you there because with your account, uh, I look at your stuff all the time. You're like definitely up there of what I look at. And
mhm.
like, there's just stuff you say that I just die at, like the anti-zucchinis. Like, we were with Israel for the anti-zucchinis. I'm like dying at that. I thought that was just because that's like, why even say what it is? Like, it's such nonsense. Those people who has the time of day to go in and just come out so bitter to just wave flags, to just hate people. It's like,
Yeah.
settle down. Like, you're just an anti-zucchini. Like that I love. And then there's other things that you post too that I
Mhm.
just like because it's not conventional. It's just you being you. It just like
Yeah.
as I think for a lot of Jewish people who looking at content, they want to see other perspectives so they don't feel like crazy, like their views are wrong or they don't know what to think. Like a lot of the stuff that you've published, I just thought was like really smart and just like very anti-conventional and just let people be more comfortable with like who they are as Jewish people and what they think. And I'll say this. I remember you posted some stuff about the prime ministers, and you posted something about.
Oh, when I was thirsting
Can I
over
please? I.
oh when I was thirsting over BB
Yes,
and
yes.
Oh
Can I
my
tell you a funny
gosh.
story? So when I went
Yeah.
to Tel Aviv way back when I went there, so it's funny. There's two sides of me. There's some side where I'm very open, and other sides where I'm not. Situations matter. And so when I was in Tel Aviv, people knew I was gay, and I remember when they showed a picture of him, like that's BB. He got less hot.
I mean, all politics aside,
Right,
we're
right,
nonpartisan
right,
here.
right.
We're nonpartisan,
Yeah,
but
people take it too seriously.
Yar
It can't be taken too seriously. This stuff, it really can't be taken too seriously at all.
and Yar, oh my, he was a model.
Yeah.
He was a whole
Oh
ass
yeah.
model, and but BB,
Yeah. Oh no. Listen. How do you think he got elected? How do you think these people get into office? It's like, look, I really, looks matter. Really.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, most Israelis are very, very good
Very
looking.
good looking. Very good
We'll give
looking.
them that. I mean, look at Noah Kirel.
Uh-huh.
Like she's Gaga Dot, drop dead
Yeah.
gorgeous. But that's besides the
That's besides
point.
the point. But people are thinking it. That's the thing. You publish things that people are thinking, but they're not saying. That matters. People aren't saying it, but
I
they're thinking it, and
and
people were thinking that for a very long time, but nobody was saying. That's how Jewish Instagram grows, right? Like you gotta the things that you're thinking and can't say, somebody's gonna say it. You said it. It's
yep.
funny. That's why.
I gotta go back on that. I haven't talked about.
Oh, cause
I mean, there's only so much you can go into
yeah,
it, but
because people take it too seriously. It's humor. It's like Joan Rivers is a great example. So
oh,
she's a legend. She'd say things, and I'm
oh, she was mean.
she
She
was
was mean
mean. She
sometimes,
was
but
mean. But who hates her? Because she'll always tell you. She'll remind you she's a comedian. That's what she does. And she
yeah.
and she. I'm not gonna get into Joan Rivers, but I sent you my celebrity who I liked. I put her
Oh
up
yeah,
there. Her I
you
didn't
had
want
the
to be
most out of
boring.
anyone.
I didn't want to be boring. I
No,
wanted.
you had. I was when you sent it to me because when other people sent it to me, they gave me like maybe one or two. You gave me like a whole thing, which I read through it and it was really cool. I was surprised Joan Rivers because not a lot of people say Joan Rivers. I personally love her because I watched Fashion Police when I was growing up,
Mhm.
which was one of my favorite shows. And when she passed, it was like it was a very loud
Oh, I
noise in
couldn't.
the
I
community.
I was
Yeah.
I was very like everybody very upset. Like that she died too soon. Died
Yeah.
too young.
Yeah, it was a very freak thing. It was a very, very freak accident. And
She died as she
yeah,
lived.
Fashion Police died after that too. It was so sad.
Yeah.
They tried getting her daughter in it. They tried getting all these different people in it. I was like, the
You
whole
can't.
thing was Joan
It was her.
Rivers and
Yeah.
her being outlandishly crude. Like she did not hold back. Sometimes controversial, but
Yeah. But
yeah, she was
that's
just
this
yeah.
is in America, like listen, never not everybody's gonna agree with everybody. Like what I was telling you in the beginning when I went to Israel. Maybe I'm gonna be controversial saying this, but I'll say this. Like there's an Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's a fact. Two
Yeah.
sides don't get along. Fact. But I'm not gonna bring the baggage over when I go over. Secular Haredi conflict. That's a fact. They don't really get along, and ideologically, it just doesn't blend. No matter what you do, it doesn't blend. But you can appreciate the beauty in the division because you get so many perspectives and so many cultures. And I think of it as Monopoly. You can either just land in jail or just visiting. And for me, I'm just visiting. And I'm going to view each side and appreciate it because, this is my time to enjoy my heritage, my culture, my country, and meet all the interesting people. And I was with, I went to Jerusalem Pride. In Jerusalem, I did the stuff you do in Tel Aviv. Mea Shearim, I told you the story about me walking in with like swim trunks that were pea shorts through the neighborhood. I went to the Palestinian areas. I hung out with some Palestinians. It's just that's just what it is. Not everything's going to be a monolith. It's going to be different cultures, different people, different perspectives, and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too
And
preachy. I apologize if I'm too preachy.
no, I'm gonna say I'm definitely gonna take that with me when I go at the end of the month
Yeah.
because I'm gonna be there for 3 weeks, and I haven't been back since I've been more involved. So definitely gonna take that with me. I think this is a great place to put a bow on
Okay.
it. I love that we were able to touch on what makes you you, because a lot of people don't really get all of this information online. That's the whole point of this podcast. I want it to be a lens that we get to see creators through that you don't get to see online. We're only seeing the beautiful photos in your tefillin and with your antiques and with your books, but we don't get to see what got you there.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool how you got there.
Thank you, Michael.
But yeah, I'm happy that you were here. Thank you for your time. We should definitely do something because you're in Jersey, you're close enough. But where can everyone find you?
I'm always hiking somewhere in North Jersey. I go to this. I'll tell you this. I go to Englewood. I'm so stupid. I go to Englewood, right? There's a little park, and they have like toads, and I like to poke them with a stick. I'm so stupid, right? I'm sorry.
You'll find them there. You could also find him at Sephardic Soul. He does bar mitzvah class, bar and bot, or just bar.
What? Oh yeah,
bar
no, I do
bot,
both. I do both.
Okay, bar bat mitzvah teachings. If you're a parent watching and you're looking for your kid to get training in the northern New Jersey or tri-state area, Sephardic Soul does that. They can find you online at Sephardic Soul anywhere else or just on Instagram.
Yeah, by the way, with the thing with the poking frogs part, maybe that's a little too stupid. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were ending at that point.
No, it's we're getting to know who you are. You're a human being. You're a person. People forget that with the profile online.
Yeah, I try not to take my account too seriously, to be honest with you. I try to, because religion, everybody's so holy. It's like, yeah.
Oh, you've seen my account. I don't really take it seriously anymore. I'm just posting random shit all the time. But that's it for this episode of the Hot Jewish Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening at home. You can find me at Hot Jewish Energy, at Hot Jewish Podcast, at Michael T. Valdes with an S at the end, and at Hot Jewish Short King. That is it. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Have a great day, night, wherever you are, and I'll catch you later. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is Hot Jewish Energy. If you like this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your favorite moment in the comments. If you're on any of the podcasting platforms, give us a 5-star rating and let us know your favorite part of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.